us to be here in your community in Sophia. Each of us, each of the ministers here have a team with us also this afternoon from our various ministries. And I'm sure that after the official program is adjourned, I know that people came with some issues that they may want to raise. I would like to assure you that our teams are here and we will address whatever concerns or challenges that are raised after the official meeting. So I just want to take some time to thank you all for coming out this afternoon. We will have the contract signing and a few words from the ministers who are here. And during that time, we will have the arrival of the Vice President, who will then address you. So I thank you again for coming this afternoon. We have always been on the ground here in this community. I recall after President Ali was sworn in August of 2020, it didn't take him 3 months before he came on a visit to Sophia. He was in Beefield. And he met with a lot of people, many of whom had issues related to housing and so on. And all of those issues were addressed. We have a very active team here in Sophia as well. We have several councillors in the area. I'm sure many of you know some of them. Asha, Andre, and many of the other comrades in the area who work all the time. So you don't just see them when there is an election or there's an event, but you see them working all the time. Even in this primary school that we're here, Sophia Primary, they've done several visits here to see how we can improve the school, the health center, the community grounds. We have 5 community grounds within this constituency alone that is under rehabilitation and upgrade. So many interventions, and not to mention through the Ministry of Housing, where we've been working feverishly as well. We have the Core Home Program, the Home Improvement Subsidy Program, where over 200 beneficiaries we have in Sophia. Similarly with the Core Home, we had 80 people receiving their core homes in this area. So all of the ministries have been doing tremendous work in this area, and their presence here alone this afternoon demonstrates the importance of Sophia and Liliendal, which falls under this constituency. So without further delay, I'd like to invite Minister McCoy to say a few words to you. Minister McCoy.
Thank you very much, Suzanne, colleagues, residents of Sophia, Liliendal, visitors to this community alike. This afternoon, of course, is one such other occasion in which the People's Progressive Party Civic Government makes an outreach to the people in Sophia, Liliendal. And by now, no one is uncertain about when the representatives of government will be in your community, because this is part of our governance practice in which we make contact with people. We come to these areas particularly to gauge what is happening within the communities, how our programs are reaching people, how are you receiving them, whether it's education, housing, healthcare, all the various things that we have been doing. And of course, Sophia has been part of that wave of development across our country. And continuously, you will see us work towards bringing development to you and your families and your community at large. But more importantly, too, is to create the opportunities for people within these communities and your community. And in particularly, making sure that you're empowered through these opportunities to live meaningful and productive lives, so that you will be part of the future of this country in a very robust fashion and manner, where you will be able to have some of the best um, homes, you will have some of the best jobs, you will have some of the best businesses, you will have anything that you set out to achieve as individuals, because with the People's Progressive Party Civic, things and everything is always possible, because we are the government that creates opportunities for people. And yes, you will continue to hear those naysayers amongst you, within your communities. They will travel around and try to spread division and try to spread hate and racism, as they have been known for. But by your numbers here this afternoon, you're demonstrating to those divisionists, those who are only concerned about profiteering off of division and hate and race, that the people of Sophia are with the government of Guyana in partnership for your development. And I think you deserve a resounding round of applause. This is absolutely important. And why is it important? Every time you participate in these activities, it demonstrates to those very individuals that this time, a long time, we are no longer going to be held back by the racist type of propaganda and all the different things that were set out to divide us. That you are prepared to participate as you ought to, as citizens, as residents of Sophia, in your own development. In your own development. Because those very people will remain in their ivory towers, in their offices, with all the benefits and the perks and the opportunities as they have had, and they will rather you suffer. So when we went to East Ranville, they paraded wild, futile masquerade around the community. The government is coming here, why are they doing this road? And why are they doing this and doing that? And why do you think those antics became necessary? Because they would like the people, and in one case, in the part of the Warlock area, they cause the people to be riled up, and a few misguided people, just about 3 of them, took on the bandwagon with the Annie Fergusons of this world, as clumsy as she is, and they went around and said, stop this project, and they went after the people who drive in the excavator. And guess why that is? Because they want to keep the community impoverished, poor, without development, so they could use that for race baiting. That is why they want those things. And they come and they make all sorts of mischief. And I know the people of Sophia are enlightened enough, especially after you know that, first of all, from the initial stages of this community, the original times when people came here to squat, it was those very people today who would like you to believe that they love you, oh so sweetly and dearly. We love you. They were the ones in power who removed people with dogs and police and had people kicked out of this community. And who were the saviors? Again, Cherry Jagan and the People's Progressive Party. We said people need place to live. We will regularize the squatting, and we kept our word. We kept our word, as we continue to do as a government. And so they will continue to throw all their slangs around, all the words around, and especially the young black contractors who will get jobs here today. They will try to target you. But I want you to all always remain firm that what you stand for is development and opportunities. And certainly, you can't get that in the PNC, APNU, AFC. And if it ever existed amongst them, it's just for but a few of them. So not even the ordinary man they cater to. Not even the people who toil with them. They are just about themselves, a few of them. And so today, again, is that day when we will demonstrate to everyone that we mean serious business. And I say we, meaning government and people. Serious business, because you have to be part of the development of this country. And Sophia, Lilienthal, Turkine, Patterson, wherever, will not be left behind. You will be toe on toe with the development trajectory across this country. Thank you, and may God continue to bless you all.
Thank you, Minister McCoy, for that very spirited presentation. Somebody said powerful. Absolutely correct. I love when I'm joined by my colleagues, because sometimes when I'm in community, sometimes I feel like I'm there so often they probably get tired of seeing me. So it's very encouraging to me, and I'm sure it's encouraging to all of you here when you see the presence of several government ministers who are here to ensure that we get the work done. The PPP is a party and a government, name and nature, People's Progressive Party. And we're all about progress. All about progress. I see the Vice President, the Honorable Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo, has just arrived. He's being greeted by some school children. And in the meantime, I would like to invite the Honorable Deodat Indar, who will brief you on our proceedings this afternoon and the road contracts that will be signed this afternoon. Please welcome Vice President Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Vice President, thank you for being here. Friends and colleagues, I want to go down to the brass tacks. No long speeches. I remember last year I was here, but I was here on a different task. I was cleaning garbage in this community. And in doing so, we walked around the community, myself, Minister Onish, Kwame, and the rest of us. And when we went around the community, persons complained about the infrastructure. And that information went back, and we sent the engineers, and we did a lot of work. So the Vice President and the President said to us that we need to fix this community. So we started off with a number of roads last year in the field. We did about 13 concrete roads. Some of the community residents actually were those contractors that finished those roads, and to good quality. I checked them myself, the engineers come and check them themselves. So today is another round, but this round is much larger. This round, the Vice President says, we have to come in this community, we have to deal with it. He'll speak for himself just now. But the instruction that we got was clear, that we have to fix every road in the community. But you know, we can't dig up all the road one time. Because if you dig up all the road one time, when somebody's sick and an ambulance gotta come in, what happens? If an emergency service gotta come in, what happens? So you have to do it in phases. So the chief said dig up the road, man. So we're gonna dig up 3 roads. So we're gonna dig up Hayfield, the entire Hayfield, which is about 29 roads. We're gonna dig up the entire C and D field, which is another 12 roads there. And then all the cross streets there. We're going to deal with concrete business. All of the roads will be concrete. so that it enables the people them from the community to participate in these works. You don't have to get a paver, you don't have to get all of the expensive equipment. It's simply constructed, you do the base, you'll have to get a roller and so on, and it's simple. The work doesn't require heavy machinery presence, mostly manual labor, unless you have at the point where you have to use the concrete mixing trucks and so on. So it makes the work easier for people who are entrants into the construction field, right? So today we have about, so we have about 41 roads, and it's actually split up into different lots, about 85 lots. So 85 contractors will be awarded contract today to the tune of $1,069,000,000. So I want to say to you though, please, when you dig up, as the VP said, when you dig up the community, please try to fix it fast before the people them and you end up at war. Because what happens, something that is meant for good should not turn into be something bad. So you got to make sure that when you dig up, you fix quick, right? Because the contract period is only 3 months. So when we sign now, 3 months after, we expect it to be finished. And when we come back in the community, we'll find those mud roads that you see and those broken roads, proper concrete roads. Give good work. Give good work for the money that you'll be contracted to do, and you'll find that the engineers from Public Works will be working with you to assist you with everything, right? So I just wanted to say that a little bit, and to say to you that the monies that is spent by government, taxpayers' monies, come back in the hand of taxpayers. That is the philosophy of these things, that the community is assisting to build out back the very community that they live in. So thank you very much. I want to hand back the mic to Ms. Suzanne. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much, Minister Indar. As I was saying just before I handed the microphone to Minister Indar, we're all about progress. And I know for a fact that the Sophia of 2020 looked much different from the Sophia of 1992, and it will look much different in 2024 by the time we complete these projects. And there is still much, much more to do. So I would like to invite now, finally, before the Vice President addresses you, I'd like to invite Minister Vindhya Prasad to give some remarks.
Thank you very much, Vice President, Cabinet colleagues, brothers and sisters of Sophia. I'm happy to be here to witness something that is transformative and something that will involve members of your communities, that will work towards the development that we see for the entire Sophia, and that it will be well utilized by those who live in this community. We want to see development in all spheres, and our government has been very keen to ensure that development is not only constrained to one community, but it's across the length and breadth of Guyana. In fact, Sophia has been on the radar for so many areas of development, and today we are seeing that government and community partnership bearing fruit, where so many of the contractors and engineers and the people amongst you will actually work for this community. And I think it's something that is deserving of applause, and because you're working for your community, you have to give your community the best work. Yes. Because that is what is expected. There must be pride in what you do, and there must be a great sense of accomplishment that will come at the end of 3 months when you walk on these brand new roads and you say, I have done this for my community. And then, of course, it is also giving a number of young people the opportunity to develop into areas where previously they may not have had that opportunity. So we look forward to them going beyond what they do here and continuing to contribute to more development across the country. For the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, we have been doing work within this area. I know that many of you would have participated in some of the courses that we have offered through the WIN program. We are continuing to expand these courses. I don't want to speak much longer because I know you are very interested in the signing that will happen But I just want to say we will continue to offer these courses so that we will have more persons in this community be equipped with technical vocational skills so that they can be financially empowered and developed. So when the courses are made available to your area through in for women, for men, and youth, I would like all of this community to take advantage of these courses because they're absolutely free. And so that the young mothers who need jobs, they can be in a better position to work for themselves, to earn, to look after their families. So we will be coming in your community so that you can register on spot and so that we can get you up and running so that you can contribute to your family's upliftment. In addition to that, there are a number of other programs for children and youth, and the Ministry of Human Services will continue to serve, as is the entire government, the People's Progressive Party civic government. Every day there is transformation, every day there is development, but more importantly, every day there is inclusivity of all the peoples of Guyana for the benefit of our beautiful land and our beautiful country. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Minister Prasad. It is now my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to you the Honorable Vice President, Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo, to address you.
Thank you. Colleagues, friends, you've heard quite a bit already from the ministers who spoke. But I just wanted to say, if there is anything that you can learn about us in the People's Progressive Party and the government that we now run, is that we are very deliberate about national development. That we don't leave it to chance. And often people in the discussions in the media and nationally, people don't see this as a differentiating character or characteristic of the People's Progressive Party. And what prompted me to say that? I just heard Indar said that last year he came here and he walked through the community and he saw these bad roads and then they came back. As though the development depends on just us going out and finding these gaps in infrastructure. That is important, but beyond that, we always plan for the communities. So whether he had come here or not, we were going to fix the roads in all of Sophia, the entire city. Because we mapped out a plan for the development of our country. It's been a plan that has been there for a very long time. It started with the crafting of the National Development Strategy. And for those of you who do not or are not familiar with that document, it's done in 6 volumes, over 2,000 pages. And this was in the 90s, as to how we see our country changing and developing and bringing prosperity to everyone. And that strategy has evolved over time to a poverty reduction strategy, competitiveness strategy, the low carbon development strategy. Every time we've changed, but in a very planned way, given the changing circumstances of our country. So what you see today can be traced back into our initial planning efforts. We had a difficult time financing these activities. And why was that so? Because the first task was restoring the country from bankruptcy to solvency and then to dynamism. And if every one of you just check or listen to Carl Greenidge. Carl Greenidge was the Minister of Finance in the old APNU government. Then he became the Foreign Minister in between 2015 to 2020. And now he is the representative for the country. with our case at the ICJ. And if you read what he said in the green mining construction arbitration, he did an affidavit there. And he pointed out that in the 90s, 153% of our revenue went to service debt. And the debt was 9 times the size of the economy. This is coming from Carl Greenwich. If you start a home and the debt is 9 times your total annual income, you're in big trouble. And if you had to use every cent that you earn to pay debts, you would be declared bankrupt. And that's the starting point. That's what we had to recover from. And before oil, we reduced the debt servicing from over 100% of revenue to less than 10% of revenue. So that meant we had 90% of the taxes we collected to spend back on our people. But it took a while because we had to pay back about $2 billion worth of debt, and we had much written off, another $2 billion. Today, our external debt, with all the big oil economy that we have, our economy is $22 billion. In the 90s, it was 300 million. And our external debt today is lower than what it was in the 90s. Because we have come out of that bankruptcy. The rest of the Caribbean, if you examine where they're going to where we were in the 90s. And so I recall what coming into Sophia in the 90s and trying to get a limited pool of money after we paid back our debts and spreading it around the country. And also ensuring that we invested in education and healthcare, etc. That pool of resources has grown. But if you hear people speak, you will think we are awash with oil money now. Let me tell you, because I hear that a lot. We're now getting our share of the oil money. The country is flooded with oil money. We have used oil resources for only 2 years now, 2022 and 2023, in 2 budgets. And if we look at the magnitude of how much we've utilized the total revenue, it's about 1.6 billion US dollars. In this year's budget, we've budgeted about 1.5 billion to come from oil. But that's only less than 30% of the $1.1 trillion budget, Ghana dollars budget. So oil, if we spend every cent that we receive from oil and gas, it can't fund 30% of the budget. And people think we're awash with money. This will happen in the outer years. By 2027, when a lot of the amortization of the investments take place, then we start seeing revenue of the magnitude, that scale. That's why we are arguing that in the outer years, we can do much more for public service salary. You saw the recent strike with the teachers. And we pointed out that we've increased the budget from 2020 to now in education by 165%, from $54 billion to $135 billion. We have given out consistent with our promise, because under the 5 years of APNU, you had less than 1,000 scholarships. We have 27,000 people now studying online who are paid for by the government of Guyana. That gentleman heads the program. Stand up, let him see. He was the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, and when APNU came into office, he was changed out. But we brought him back, and he now runs that program for us. 27,000 persons are now on scholarship in these few years. Of that, 4,000 are teachers. We have another 2,000 teachers were trained in the last 2 years at Cyril Potter College. So that's 6,000 teachers of the 14,000 teachers. And we hired another 2,000 since we came in. You had 12,000, it's now 14,000. We've increased the salaries at the upper end because we say, if you want higher salaries, we need to go in, we're providing the opportunity for better training because we want more trained teachers and qualified teachers to teach our children. And that's why we increase the salaries for degrees and stuff like that, first degree, second degree, etc. And we're giving you a paying to train you, so you can train online. So I don't want to get into details of those sorts, but in spite of the fact that we have not received oil money of a magnitude, we said, be a little bit restrained. In the outer years, the salaries are going to go up steeply. But right now, we have to spread the resources, the development. There are some people who say, give the money alone to teachers or pay all the salaries in the public service. And we pointed out, you have 50-something thousand people in the public service, but there are over 800,000 of us in the country. If we spend all the money there, they say don't build infrastructure. Why is the government focusing on infrastructure too much? But you tell that to the man who has a dirt road in front of his yard, that we can't build that. We must use the money and spend it on consumables. So I spoke about planned, balanced development, and that's what we are about. We're investing in our people through more scholarships. We're building 12 new hospitals now. That plans weren't there for them recently. These 12 hospitals will transform healthcare in Guyana because the quality of care in the ones that we are building, the one at Ogle here for women and children, would be a European level care for women and children. That's a specialized hospital for women and children. It's costing us $160 million. You would get like what you would find in Europe or North America. And we're investing in a large number of things. But today I'm not here to talk about all of that. Just to give some brief perspectives that we plan. So we don't drift with the wind. Every week we promise, like I saw the leader of the opposition saying, we would help you pay your rent if we get back in office. We want you to own your home. We don't want you to pay rent your whole life. But we heard promises in 2015 too. We double old age pension in 100 days. We're good life. We will treat everybody well. We heard lots of promises before. And that's why we take our promises seriously. In the local government elections, we did extremely well in the city, as we did in Linden, in lots of new strongholds across the country. And why? Because we want to work for people's support. We don't believe that a politician has a special right to people's support. They must work for their support. And that is why in Linden, we got 2,500 votes more. In New Amsterdam, we nearly came close to winning New Amsterdam. We won Bartica, we won Madia. These were all held by APNU. From Makor to Kwakwani, etc. Our support is growing because we are working from the initial establishment of our party. In spite of all that you hear about us, we are racist, etc. That's the only thing that the other side can campaign on, because they can't campaign on track record. So they campaign on racism. And that has kept a lot of people away from us, because they hear it in their communities and they start believing, oh, we kill 400 young black kids, we kill 1,000 black kids, etc. They hear these rumors all the time and they become facts, rather than people understanding it. So we're breaking down all those barriers. We're breaking down those barriers now, because in the past we didn't spend enough time addressing these rumors enough, and they took hold and we suffered for it. And so we're gonna vigilant, be very vigilant and vociferous in our battle, very rigid in our battle against these rumors. So in the city, we had a plan for the city too. Right now, a few months, maybe about a year ago, less than a year ago, I convened a group from around the city with the sports ministry. And as a result of that, we are doing now every single ground in the city. 34 of the grounds we are doing now. And all would have facilities, lights, etc., so people recreationally can utilize. I think it's 5 in Sophia, another 5 in North and South Rumveld, right across the city, from Agricola to Cummins Lodge here. 34 grounds that will see major recreational investments there, and that's happening right now. We committed to all the roads being done, every single road in the city. So when I went around and they say, oh, we want this road done, we said, it will be done, it's just a matter of time. So right now, we're spending over $1 billion in C and D. But we haven't touched B feelers yet. But we did the assessment, and maybe in a matter of months, that's about $1.3 billion. And then we have to do E-field too. So the entire Sophia people. So people can have recreational facilities, health facilities, development. I just came from Ogle earlier today, and we're expanding the health facility there. So we now need to acquire more land. So this would happen naturally because we are planning it. We are focused heavily on job creation since we got into office. If you look at the period before COVID, we lost about 35 to 40,000 jobs. If you walk around in 2019, a lot of people used to come into my office on Church Street there and talk to me. These are people, miners, people coming from Linden, the taxi drivers, the shopkeepers. They said to me, things are slow. Nothing was happening in the economy. People are losing jobs. We lost a lot of jobs. And I used to explain to them that this is a consequence of a short-sighted economic policy. Because instead of creating incentives for the industries in Guyana, what APNU did was took away the incentives. And not only for traditional people who supported the PPP. So they sent home 7,000 sugar workers, and the agricultural sector, they increased the taxes, the land charges, water charges, put the taxes on fertilizer, pesticides, etc. But the miners who overwhelmingly supported APNU in 2015, they increased the tributers tax, they increased the royalty rate, and they add VAT on the machinery and equipment. It practically killed the mining sector. So every industry suffered. We lost lots of jobs. Things were slow. When we got into office, the first 2 years of our government, we found COVID. The country was shut down. And we reopened. We said, we can't run like that because outside of the 35, 40,000 who had lost their jobs before COVID, another 30, 40,000 were staying home because the country was shut down. So we had to put people back to work. And I'm saying now that we've been so successful that you've had labor shortages now in Region 4. If you're looking for skilled people and laborers and stuff like that, many sectors you can't find workers. We have had more than 60,000 people resume working because we started developing house lots once again. Under APNU, maybe 1,000 house lots were developed. We have already done 30,000. In fact, they told me 31,000 because we promised 50,000 in the 5 years. And that put a lot of people to work. We started building homes again, core homes for people, young professional homes. That's just the government program. we have put another maybe 15,000 people to work because of that. They have construction jobs. And the private sector side, there's an economic boom. If you drive around, you will see it. If you look at the construction of highways, etc., we have already constructed maybe over 60 kilometers of 4-lane highways to ease the traffic, and that's gonna run soon maybe to 100 kilometers because they're already awarded. Contracts are awarded. So we have a clear plan as to where we are going. We don't drift in the wind. Every week, if you look at our press conferences, we outline our plans for every single sector. I can tell you here today what our plan would be for the next 10 years in every single sector, for agriculture, for the oil and gas industry, for mining, for the social sectors, education and healthcare. Our counterpart, or the opposition, if you ask about policies, they don't speak policies. They talk about racism. And they've gone back to this old thing, how we are corrupt. 2015 used to be their mantra. They did 55 audits and spent $135 million on 33 million on forensic audits in the 5 years. Every one of us went to Soku. We got investigated, couldn't find anything. And they used to say they would hold a commission of inquiry to find out what happened in the period where people were killed. You remember what they called the trouble period? Well, they refused to do so. We're going to hold it soon, and you're going to see what the results will be. Whether the PPP used to sponsor extrajudicial killing. Those are the things. Until now, they've gone back to that. Oh, we're corrupt, we are incompetent, and they have a better plan. And racism. We don't work like that. You can come in and talk to us on policy. And that is why we believe that these communities have to step up to. So we can't just fix roads. I just came in here because I have a way when I drive, I just looking at the canal. We can't rely on the city council for anything too. Now we have some councillors here. We have 11 councillors now. We have moved from 2 to 11 in the city. But APNU has controlled the city forever. From independence to now, they run the city. We have had to take over. When you run the city, you're supposed to fix roads, collect the garbage, deal with the drainage. You have to manage the markets. That's your responsibility. We have taken over. We built the garbage dump site out for nearly $15 million for the city council. We are putting in new pumps. We're building a pump at Leylandale now that will drain South Georgetown and places like Sophia, doubling the pumping capacity in the rainy season. We're now fixing all the roads. We put in stoplights. We're fixing the recreational facility. They only collect taxes and spend the taxes. They don't even collect the garbage now. So we can't rely on this city council. And I'm sorry some of our councillors are here. This gentleman here was the one who beat the mayor in his constituency. Stand up, let me, so they can see you. He won in his area, and then after put back the mayor, he became the constituency candidate for us. So we have to take over almost everything in the city. So I'm just coming down there. The canal between Cummins Lodge and UG, it's swamped with vegetation. Then I came down here and I look at the roadside. And it's all, now people can vent. I'm not one to be puritanical about taking people off the road. If they're earning a decent living, they should be allowed to have a nice facility, vent there, keep the place clean, move it off sometimes. So I'm not to break down people just like that. But we can keep it clean. And I want a project to start. I see heaps of garbage, heaps of earth, everything else. If the community is going to look better, we have to keep it maintain and clean too. We can't just do that. That's what we want for people who live in Sophia and those who live in Queenstown, whether they live there, whether it's a lower income area or high income, there must be healthy, clean facilities everywhere. And we have to work at that. But we wouldn't get the city council to work with us on that. So might as well do it ourselves. But it depends also on the residents here, that you have to also work with us to ensure that this happens. That if the initial investment is made to clear the place, then you maintain it. And not to prevent people from doing things, but just to have some order. So there are lots more. This is not the last engagement. You've had lots of our activists working in these areas, the PPP activists, political activists, ministers coming in here. I remember in this area, the facility we were supposed to build here. It's not built, etc. So there are lots of, this engagement will continue. Today we're here, and I didn't want us to come here today and tell you we will build the roads next year, like some politicians generally do, and they wait and drag you out. So we did all the groundwork for us. We went out to tender, we got the contractors, so that the contracts will be signed today and the work start soon. So you will see the contracts being signed. Because politicians have a way, especially around election time. This is not election time. That's till the end of next year. So they have a way of saying, we're going to do this for you. And then the elections come and they disappear after it's gone. We're not like that. So today we are here to actually complete that. There are lots of things I'd love to talk to you about, but I don't want to make this long speech here. Already I'm going on, you're all checking your watches, already I'm going on for a while. And I'd love to do this again, but to come back and talk to you about anything. If we can't defend a policy, if we can't defend what we're practicing in this country, we shouldn't be doing it. And that is why whenever we do something, we have a reasoning behind it. And so I hope that you understand a little bit more about how we work, that we work in a very deliberate, planned way, and all of the things we promise. If you do one thing for me, if you want to see the difference, you take the promises that a political party make at elections. Take 2015 PPP manifesto and APNU manifesto. We are not in government, so they won. Check how many of the things they promised they implemented. You take our 2020 manifesto, the things we promised, and what we have implemented already, over 90%. The children's grant that they took away, we restored it. We restored it, it's 45,000 this year, next year it will go to 50,000 per child. You know how much that costs? That will cost $10 billion. We promised to double old age pension in the 5 years. It was $21,500 in 2020. Next year it will be $41,000 per month for the pension. We're keeping our promise. We promised the scholarships, 20,000 online scholarships. We are already at 27,000. We promised to make university education free. This year we are writing off $18 billion of school fees, and next year we're going to do it. We promised to restore the joint services bonus, 1 month tax-free bonus that APNU are taking away. We did it. That costs now about $1.7 billion per year. We promised 50,000 house lots. We're already done 31,000, and we're doing the rest so we can complete it by the end of the year. I can go down a long list. We promised to remove the VAT on water, on electricity, on food items. We promised on data, all of these things. We promised to remove the corporate tax on education and healthcare. That is why you have more investments in these sectors. And people, one thing I wanted to say to you, you see the sum of money we're spending on education now. If you take, we have 180,000 children in public schools. That's nursery, primary, and secondary. We're spending, we budgeted $135 billion. But if you take out $10 billion for gold scholarships and another, and University of Ghana, we're left with $125 billion. Divide $125 billion by the number of students we have, around 180,000, and you will see we're spending $700,000 per year per child. You know what the school fee in the private sector is? It's about $300,000 to pay school fees for a child. And they have, so we could easily now give every parent a voucher of $700,000 and say, you take care of your kid. Because they're only paying $300,000 to go to private schools now. And then you can do that. But of course, we're not going to do that. We have to keep public schools going. I just wanted to tell you about our commitment to our children. That is why we have to increase the thing. For the year. So it's 300. So the better schools, like School of Nations or so, is about 120,000 per term. And then you have schools that are 60,000 per term. So the average is about 100,000 per term. So when you look at 3 terms, it's 300,000. We are now spending per child in public schools 700,000. It's more than double the school fee that we have. But we now need to ensure we get better quality in the public schools, the same way that children are taught in private schools, they're taught there. And just thought I'd share that kind of information. This is the sort of thing that you can verify. You don't need to listen to me and believe me. You can easily go, check the estimates, a public document, check the number of school kids and do the division. And that's why I'm telling you the numbers so you can do it for yourselves. And then you will see the kind of commitment we have to our children and everyone else. And this was all in our manifesto. You know, even the oil and gas sector. You'll get a chance, Shasam. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, in the oil and gas sector, you remember the $18 million signing bonus? The signing bonus was practically, there was an attempt to disappear the 18 million. You know what we did? We said if the Minister of Finance, we changed the law, which we promised in opposition. The Minister of Finance has to publish in the official gazette any receipt from the oil and gas company. If he fails to do that, there's a 10-year jail term for the Minister of Finance. And every 3 months, within 3 months, he has to publish this data upon receipt. Please read a bit about this. The next time I come, we'll talk about them. Thank you very much. Yes, let me hear you. Yes, let me hear you.
Observe,
Yes.
speaking to the Honorable
Yes.
Vice President, who I love a lot. And I'm going to verify you. You promised us seniors 15,000 at 2025. Now you're saying 40.
You didn't hear what I said? I said it's 45,000 this year. In the 5 years, it will be 50,000. Next year, it will be 50,000. We said we will. Now, let me tell you. So since you raised this, so APNU, we had 167,000 children in 2014. We gave them $10,000 each. That came up to 1.67 billion Ghana dollars. APNU removed that. They claimed that they could not afford it. They got 30 buses donated, put David G on the buses, and replaced it. Now, if you take $1.67 billion and multiply it by 5 years, the parents and children lost $8 billion because they took that away. We said in our manifesto, we'll put it back. Not just at 10,000, we'll increase it to 50,000 per child over the 5 years period. So this year, it's already at 45,000. But you don't gotta give us till next year. It's for 5 years you're working and a 5. Oh no, not pension. The 50,000 we said double old age pension.
Hey,
We
senior citizen pension correction.
yeah, yes, well, yes. All right, senior citizen pension. Yes, so it's about 36,000 now, so it will go to 41,000 next year. And it was 25 in 2020. So next year it becomes 41,000 per month, which is doubling their old age pension or senior citizen pension. Okay, right. Right. All right. So yeah, this come right here, yes. Yeah. Give him, look, the microphone is just here.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice President. The reason why I took this mic is to find out about the fishing industries. All the companies taking blows. What are you doing for the sailors? I'm a sailor my whole life. Two, the Venezuela and Essequibo border dispute. What kind of protection you got for Guyanese? This is my question.
All right, thank you very much. No, they're very important questions. I think this one is on the minds of a lot of our people. Because Venezuela is refusing to play by international law and the rules of the court. So what they did was a unilateral annexation by law of our territory. Now, historically, we have always had to seek international solidarity if we're going to repel Venezuela. Venezuela is vastly superior militarily than Guyana.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, so everyone is aware, except you're an ex-soldier?
Yeah, I had training in
Well,
Wellington.
then definitely, every soldier would know that. So right now, we have had to build an international coalition. We have taken our case to the ICJ. They're trying to get it to go back to the bilateral negotiations. We have explored that for 50 years without it yielding any result. They do not want to participate in the ICJ process because they don't have a shred of evidence that the 1899 award was flawed.
Yeah, I know.
They don't have a shred of evidence.
Essequibo is Guyana.
Exactly, and
Right.
we know that, yes.
Another question.
No. Here, let me give a chance here.
Okay.
Give me a chance here.
Okay.
Answer the thing, man. Right. So they've been that is why we have been engaging many of our allies, the US, the UK, France, Brazil, etc. And only with the deterrence, us sticking to international law and the deterrence provided by our allies, would we keep Venezuela in check. Because right now, they're going through a dangerous period in Venezuela. They have elections, and the current government is looking to divert attention from their failings. And Guyana could be the excuse for doing that in his case, in his mindset. So we have to be very vigilant, but we have to also make sure that we keep engaging our allies on this matter. There are lots of things I can't say publicly that, because it's national security, etc.
Is Guyana Defense Force prepared to train any paramilitary men?
Yeah, even if we do that, we will have to defend our country by any means whatsoever. Let me leave it like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to defend our country by any means
What
whatsoever.
about the fishing industry?
Now, the fishing industry, so there are several things. We've had fishermen in that part of the region in the east who are facing problems with Suriname. So we're engaging now with Suriname a lot of it Suriname on trying to get their licenses. They're refusing our people licenses, etc.
Yeah, yeah.
You're aware of that.
Yeah, I'm
It's
aware
like
of that.
pulling teeth with the government of Suriname. They promise 1 week and then the next week they don't honor their promises. So we've been engaged with this for a very long time, and it's affecting the fishermen there. So there was a time when people said that the fish ran away because of the oil. Right? That's what they were saying. And then the next season, they catch a lot of fish. So we got the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations to do an assessment. And it had more to do with rainfall and salinity of the sea. When we had heavy rains in that period, the fresh water extended further out, and therefore it affected the pattern of fishing, etc. Now, it's a little harder to extend help to the fishermen because many of them don't work in sectors that you can or organize sectors. They work in more mainly for individuals by themselves or small companies. So once we gave a cash grant to the fishermen, you recall that?
Yeah.
We gave a cash grant to the fishermen, and that was a direct help. Many fishermen, to be frank, don't pay taxes, so you can't give tax benefits, the corporate tax. Many of them are not part of the tax net.
So Pretty Paul Company.
No, not the big one. I'm not talking about the big. I'm talking about small people.
Okay.
Mainly the small people. I'm not talking about the big guys. My concern is mainly the small people.
Okay.
So it's hard to get the help extended directly to them, like we can do for other sectors. Like if it's in a public service, you can do something for public servants generally. If it's in the army or the joint services, we can do something there. So it's a bit tougher there. I've said to the fishermen that outside of the training, outside of the scholarships we've had here, we're training about maybe another 15,000 people in skill training. So this is under Minister Hamilton. And also Vindi is doing it through the WIN program and some other programs, training women. How many women have you trained already? 11,000 here, with different kinds of skills. So we need like heavy duty equipment operators. We need truck drivers. We need carpenters. We need in large quantities now. We need plumbers. We need electricians. If people find those individuals who are prepared to go in for the training, I can get Joe Hamilton to come here and arrange the training. In fact, but you got to do it in an organized way. When I was in Lanes Avenue, we got the women together, and now the first group has completed their training, and a second group. And I made that offer there. Because fishermen, now, it's very seasonal. Sometimes you do well, and sometimes you wouldn't do well. You can't get wealthy if you don't have a permanent source of income. You depend only on fish catching, basically. You can't do that. So you have to have another skill. In the United States of America, 2-3 members of the family are working. They're working hard, the biggest economy in the world, and they can accumulate. But if you accumulate some money, and then when nothing is happening out there, you're not catching anything or it's low, you also use up the money back again. So people have to start to transition into permanent skills or semi-permanent or another skill. And we can do this for anybody of whatever age. Give them another skill.
The governor in Fort Myers signed to stop importing prawns. I was there in Fort Myers. Right?
Right.
Do Guyana have more export market for prawns and fish?
Yeah, well, it's a very competitive world now. So they banned the export of catfish into the United States. And so we have had a hard time getting that lifted. And it was done by the Food and Drug, I think it was the Agriculture, FDA, the FDA. So they're doing it to protect themselves too. It's protectionist. It's not just a concern over anything else.
In Alabama,
Yes.
the Guyanese fishermen are not treating well. They ain't treating me well in
All right.
Alabama.
But they should come home and come home. This is our country.
Yeah, this is what I did.
Yeah, come home.
This is what I
Come
did.
home. This is all right. Okay then. All right.
Okay,
Give someone
thank you.
else. Yeah, give someone else. They should come home. All right.
Honorable Vice President, Honorable Minister of the Government, special invitees, officers, good afternoon to you all. I stand here and I listen to quite a lot. And I feel really impressed by what our Vice President has put on the table for the community of Sophia rather. I am happy that he would have unfolded quite a lot for this community. When you develop a community, you develop the people. And I must say thank you for your office for doing such for this community. As a head teacher of this school, I would like to give to you two projections that I have. My school at present is bursting through its seams, and I would wish an extension of the building on that wing so that I can offer more to the community.
How many kids do you have?
I have 568 and counting, and I only have 15 classrooms with 27 classes. So I am bursting.
Okay, so I'll ask the Ministry of Education to come in, and once they assess that you need the space, it will be done. The education is number one in our thing. Our children, that's number one, the investment. So I'm going to ask them to come in this week and do the assessment.
Thank you so much. The second projection would be, I have quite a lot of space. If you take your eyes across to the left,
I thought you have
we
space
see
in the school.
quite a lot of land that just lay there doing absolutely nothing. My children would like to utilize that space. However, there is need for the land to be filled in order for us to utilize that space to be a part of sports. Sports can do so much for our children if they're not getting the academics together. So if we can fill that piece of land that we're seeing there that looks so flourishing and green, every month we look at it, but nothing is being done.
So
and I wish
it's in the school compound.
this is ours.
Okay, yeah.
It all belongs to Sophia Primary,
Right.
and I wish it to be developed.
Right, sure. So let me see. We can do it as part of this. You don't want to do it before the road, so they break up the roads if they have to bring in sand here and earth. So I will talk to Charles and let them come in quickly. Let's do an assessment as to what it will cost, and we'll get it done, because this is. But we will allow people from the community to use it in the afternoon.
Wonderful.
I don't want us to build things in school compounds and then in the evening the kids can't use it from the rest or the other young people. We should allow them, but you have to have control. They can't destroy things, etc.
That's right.
So it will be almost for the community too, but also for the school kids.
Yes,
So-
we're quite
so we
aware
can
of
do
that.
Right, yeah. So you have to keep it open.
Thank you
No,
so
I
much.
know you were enlightened. Some head teachers carry home the key in their pocket.
No, the footballers
Yeah,
can tell you they have the time on this
So we'll look with it.
tarmac and they play in the afternoons.
All
Thank you so much. I do appreciate all the plans
All
that you have for
Okay.
Sophia.
No, thank you. Thank you. We'll get it done.
Pleasant good afternoon to each and everyone. Pleasant good afternoon to you, Mr. Vice President, many members of the government. I have two questions. One, relation to the oil and gas. Now, could you tell us in respect of knowing the amount of gas and oil that Exxon extract per day, what is the system do you have in place in getting such information? That's one. Two, recently we had a striking teachers. Now we all know that cost of living is way up there. And the money that we working for generally public servants in general, in making it. Now I'm asking whether you prepared to do in respect of the teachers, because I've noticed that we got a lot of infrastructure. But this infrastructure has to be utilized by people.
Yeah, so you got the same kind of that I had to deal with at the beginning. I dealt with the same philosophy. So both questions, I'm glad that you raised them. So when teachers work in schools too, they work in the classroom. So if we don't build comfortable schools, you just heard what the head teacher requested here. Extension of the school so that the children would not be cramped. We appreciate what teachers are doing, but if the teachers are not the objective, it's our children and their education. The teachers are a means to getting them a better education. So you should say then, forget what the head teacher just said. Pay all the money out in wages and salaries. Don't bother in thing and let the children be in cramped classrooms. Teachers also benefit from all the hundreds of schools we're building now and the upgrading of schools around the country. That's the first point. Secondly, I told you about 6,000 teachers already in training now, either completed their training in the 5 years of the PPP. 6,000 of the 14,000, yes, right, 6 of the 14,000 already in training and getting, they would get a higher salary when they finish training because they're better qualified. We're paying for that opportunity. That's the second point. No, you gotta listen sometimes too. So that's the second thing. Thirdly, I pointed out that if we can only increase salaries to public servants, you just said we shouldn't spend on infrastructure. You think we should take the 1 billion that we're doing the roads now in this community and just pay it to teachers alone? So we have to take care of more than just one group of people in the country. You talk about cost of living. Cost of living, we don't live in a vacuum. So oil prices have gone up. We've pointed out already that oil prices went from maybe $75 a barrel per oil, it's over $100 a barrel. You know, we removed the 50% excise tax. That works out to between 40 to $75 billion of taxes foregone. So people, the taxi drivers and everybody who using car or the business community can have a lower fuel price so it doesn't drive the cost of living up. 2, GPL, the price now, GPL is a nightmare too. But let me tell you something else. GPL, now we are subsidizing the price of electricity to the tune of billions of dollars. Yes. We're subsidizing it. So the cost of living would have been worse. We removed after COVID, it would have been worse because there are higher prices. If you go on the news, you check Biden is struggling with cost of living. The United Kingdom is struggling with cost of living. In South Korea, every country in the world. We have addressed it better than most countries in the world because we are engaged. This is about economic development. That's why I said to you all, we are not the government that looks at only one issue. Some people don't want us to plan for the future. You see Venezuela? Venezuela used to produce 3 million barrels of oil per day. Now they don't have food. People are fleeing Venezuela. That's not going to happen under PPP management. Never. Where people don't get food and stuff. You live only for one day. We are investing in our children, everyone else. So, did anyone ever ask the teachers union, what about the $2 billion that we deducted from teachers' salary and gave to them? Where that money went? Because for 30 years, there's no audited statement. The teachers don't ask that. $2 billion. Now, guess what the teachers, let me go into this. The teachers union, they want us. Now we said, all right, let's talk about the multi-year agreement. You want a 3 years agreement? Let's sit down and talk about that moving forward. Now, so guess what they wanted? They want us to go back and address salaries from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 before we start off. All the years on the APNU, and now APNU is supporting them for that. They didn't do it, but they want us to go back and address that. If we do that, then we got to adjust salaries for everybody, the policemen, everyone, the army, etc. That's their proposal. If you read what you're talking about.
Now,
So that's the first thing. And then the oil and gas. You wanted to talk about oil and gas now. So oil and gas. I'm going in there, right? So guess when oil was formed? In 1999, Janet Jagan signed this agreement with Exxon. Then we started exploring for oil when I was president offshore close to Suriname. And a gunboat came and we had a clash. And I took the Surinamese to the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. It took us several years to have the matter settled, but then we have a maritime boundary. We had a maritime boundary. That's when Exxon resumed the exploration. Listen, give the people the microphone. Give them the microphone. You want bully people here too? Yes. So you get a chance to raise the questions. I'm responding to you. You want a dialogue? Come to my office. You want a dialogue? No, me finish yet, man. You finish. I just started here. So 2016, APNU signed the agreement, and now I'm getting the heat for the 2016 agreement. Suddenly, they're criticizing the PPP for the agreement that they signed and hid. And you were asking me how we know the reserves. Well, right now, there are several things that happen. One is that we have people from the Bureau of Standard on the vessels. Two, that these are publicly traded companies. It's not like the Guyana where ExxonMobil is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. An attempt to falsify that would result in disastrous consequences for a few barrels of oil. And then, thirdly, we now just sent out a request for proposal that we'd have a satellite system for monitoring all of these issues. So I don't want to get into details too, because today it would take me about 2 hours to talk about oil and gas. Today alone, just 2 hours to talk. But they listen to Glenn Law TikTok. You ever see the TikTok stupidness? You can't analyze oil and gas industry from people who don't understand rig fencing and everything else. Every week Norton saying he gonna say the plans for Guyana the next year because we want TFIS plans. We want TFIS plans. They got no idea. This is the same thing I hear all the time. Right, yeah, I steal, right? You want to be a bit more sophisticated. I don't want to steal his initiative. Yeah, Norton. Yeah, that's what's happening. All right, 2 more we signed. After 2 more, this lady and this 2 ladies.
Good afternoon.
Right, all right, and this guy. All right, the 4 I take. I extend to 4 now.
I'm living in
1, 2, 3,
Sophia
4.
as a contractor. Will person living in Sophia as contractor will be writing some of these contracts?
Yes, well, you will see that, but we have another 70 coming up too, right?
So will we be including me and others?
Yes, but talk to Minister Indar. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that if you have good contractors in here, they should get the preference. Okay?
All right,
so make sure that they get that. This lady here, and that lady there, and this man in the stripe and green. Yes. All right, no, you did already. You finished. You got a chance already. You get a chance already.
Okay.
This young lady there got a chance already. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. My question is addressed to the minister. Yes. My dear, I am concerned about our kids. I want to know what you have in store, or what you can do to help our kids, them who are, let us say, like nearsighted, who, when they're writing on, instead of the write on the lines, them the write.
But you know we have a spectacle program.
No, well, I don't. That's why I bring up the question.
Yes, but listen, in this year's budget, we put in place money to give every school child in the public and private sector, $3,000 to go and test their eyes, and if they need glasses, $15,000 to get the glasses. Every child in the whole country. Right, you can get that, yes, right here. We will make sure every child can get that now. And then the woman also would get a voucher to screen for cervical cancer. So every adult woman can now get this voucher because we want to have them screen early. So because sometimes this is a problem later. So every woman in this country can collect that voucher later this year. Okay? And go in for the screening and pay. No, they don't have to pay for it. Okay? So we take her name. Steve, take her name and I will make sure that we follow up directly. Okay? Now, this lady here, you can talk to me. Listen, if you want to tell me something and you don't get the opportunity to because I have to go elsewhere, some of my staff are here. Give them your name and number and they will get back in touch with you. They'll call you and talk to you. Okay? Give them the name and number. Now, this lady, yes, here. And then one more. I promised the guy in green. Yeah.
Behind the path. We live in there over 40 years.
Behind the path?
Yeah.
That's over the other side.
Yeah, over 40 years, right? We lost 40 area, and nobody never come. We don't have no drainage. We can't build a septic tank. When rainfall, all the
all right.
And I'm begging you to come.
All right. So I'll send someone. You should go and visit. I'll send this minister to come and visit you very soon. Okay? Right. So he will come and visit there. Okay? That's on the other side. That's on the other side. Okay. And get this guy here. And then I talk to the person. Yeah, but this is not supposed to be a question and answer, but I give people a chance to talk. Because I gotta come to the other one. I got another one there. If you want, you might get a chance to question me there. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Jagdeo. Yes, Mr. Honorable.
Yeah.
Sensible questions.
Yeah.
Don't care where I'm at, right? I try to listen to your press conference, right? I already mentioned something about public servants, right? With the 3 months and the probation period, right? And from then, I didn't hear anything else. You were astonished on that.
Oh, I think it was somebody raised this question, that what happens sometimes when a person gets a job in the public service, it takes them 3 months to get their first salary because it takes a long time for them to put them on the payroll. So I've asked the Ministry of Finance and the others to try to shorten the period because they do have to take some checks before they get onto the computerized payroll. But 3 months is too long for people to start working and don't have an income. So I'm dealing with it. Okay? All right then. Okay. Thank you very much.